Hey, I'm going to share this morning about being hungry for Jesus. And I was thinking about last night, I was just preparing and just getting myself ready for this and just putting down my notes and putting in my thoughts. And all I could think of was I'm really hungry. And I know that sounds dumb, but I tell you what, last night, you know when you get to about 8 o'clock, 8:30, and you go, man, I'm hungry. I just don't know what I want. The problem is with this is that now I don't do it because I've got a risk of keep doing it, but Menulog has made it so much easier. So much easier just to say, hey, I'm hungry. Then you just go on I've got the app. Temptation. And then there was actually one time where I couldn't find the restaurant I wanted, so I had to go and find another app because they wouldn't deliver it to my place. I had to go and find another app and another app, and I got about 4 apps on my phone of all these different deliveries places. And I know some people are addicts of this evil thing called Menulog. But don't you reckon sometimes you get to a point in a night and you go, I'm really hungry. You open the fridge up, nothing except for vegetables, carrots, broccoli, cucumber. No one's going to eat that. No one's going to eat that kind of rubbish. So you look for other areas, you look for some other places that I can get to see. But there's something about a hunger that you just don't know what. And then you do something stupid and go to Macca's. And then you eat it, and then you go, oh. Who doesn't like Macca's? I could just see some people's faces and went, you don't like. When me and Barb started to go out, Barb used to work at Macca's, and she said that she's a Macca's chick, how you doing? No, So anyway, so when we come to when we're going, she said that she wouldn't eat Macca's again because she had Macca's where she worked. You know the smell, and anyway, so she'd come along me, like I come along, and I loved Macca's. And she's like, she told me after a while, she said, hey, listen, I hate Macca's. I really don't like it. And it was like, I just kept going there and going there. On our second date, I took her to Macca's, and she's still here 27 years later. Woohoo! And we're still going to Macca's. Yeah, lucky me. Fantastic. No, okay, so in here I was looking at it going, hungry for Jesus. There's some times where I just go, hey, I'm so hungry for something of the presence of God. I don't know what to do. The problem is sometimes is you don't even know what you're looking for. And you go after things like Macca's, like things like that that you think might bring in some kind of sustenance to your body or to your mind or your spiritual walk. But it's not going to cut it. And I was reading through different scriptures and so the last couple of weeks and just looking at all these opportunities where hunger was involved and a miracle happened. If you look at the 2 loaves, 3 loaves, I always get these muddled up. 3 loaves and 2 fishes. Is that right? 2 fishes. 5 loaves and 2 fishes. There you go. The other one, oh God, see, in the prayer meeting they said we're just working with what we've got. And that's me. And some people look at the boy that was generous and that was fantastic. Some people look at the opportunity that was there. But the real miracle came from where that the opportunity actually happened was when the people were hungry for something and then generosity was able to be fulfilled. The hunger of people triggers something that we need to grab, it's searching for a miracle. It's searching for a breakthrough. No hunger, no miracle, no opportunity for miracle. And there's something about looking to see what's our hunger. If you look at blind Bartimaeus, Jesus walking down the road. If he wasn't blind, there's no opportunity for the miracle to occur. No, he wasn't. it's at that point he was crying out for Jesus, saying, Jesus, I need you to come and heal me. There was a hunger there, and if that issue wasn't there, then Jesus, there's no opportunity for, or even the hunger of the guy to really cry out and say, Jesus, I need healing. In our own lives, there may be some things in our own lives that maybe we need to flick the switch a little bit and get hungry for. To really see what God can really do in our life. If you're going through some financial stress, let's start to cry out for Jesus as he's in your life and to say, Jesus, I need you to do something in my finances. Jesus, I need you to do something in my healing. Jesus, I need you to do something in what you're going, in what I'm believing for. And Jesus passed by blind Bartimaeus and stopped and healed him. Something about walking through a situation and getting hungry for the presence of God enough that we start to cry out for Jesus. When we come into worship, that's what worship is, a great tool for that, because it's an element where we start to use our voice. We start to lift our hands and we start to go, Jesus, you are worthy of it all. And there's something about crying out for the presence of God, getting hungry for what God can do in your life. Getting a hunger that doesn't get pushed away. It's a hunger that will not be satisfied until you grab hold of the presence of God. There's something about leaning into what God has for us. So easy it is for us these days to, with the information that we have, is to grab hold of other things that will temporarily satisfy our need, but won't long term do anything in our life. And so in our day and age, there's so much of just searching for the now, and therefore looking for other stuff that can actually solve the problem, but to really search out for what God can do. In 2 Kings, in chapter 4, there's a lady that said to his wife and said, hey, listen, there's a man of God that keeps coming past here. We're going to make a room for him. So when he comes by, that he can actually stay with us and not just pass by. And in that story, if you want to read it a little bit later in 2 Kings chapter 4, have a read of it. Because it's something about placing room for God to do a miracle in this family's life. I won't go on the whole story, but I'll tell you what, there's something about making room for what God can do in our life. Getting hungry for Jesus. Hunger means sometimes we've got to do something about it. I was actually talking to my wife just before the service. And I said, what's the thing that you love to eat the most? And not the most, that would just go, yes. She said sourdough, some good butter, and there's some nice little Vegemite on it. Not too thick, just a nice layer. I used to get in trouble for making toast that way. I used to not just a layer. And that's something. Then I talked to Ellen, and Ellen said, I'll eat anything I don't have to make. Oh. And I tell you, there's something that's so easy it is for. I'm going to really talk Ellen down right now, but it's so easy for us to go after something that we don't have to put the effort into. But I tell you what, there's hunger in here that we need to grab hold of and start to really trigger off something in here that says, God, I need you to do something in my life, and start to put it out there, start to step out there, start to doing some work for it, start to work hard for it, cry out for what God can do. Because I tell you what, there's something about the cries of the hearts of people that we can really go after what God has for us. This lady made a room ready for the miracle, made room, made a house, put a bed in there, went to the detail, put a desk, put all that kind of things in place for the power of God to really work in this family's life. What are we doing? I'm not saying to make a room, but what are we doing about making room for the presence of God? What's our hunger like for the presence of God? What's our hunger like for reading the word? What's our hunger like about praying and really seeking out God? What is our hunger? What's our desperation like when we actually step it out there and saying, God, I really need you to really step into? Meaning that sometimes it could be waking up early. Sometimes it could be fasting something. Maybe it's putting aside some things so that you can get in there and put some effort into seeking out the presence of God. I like in those stories, blind Bartimaeus, he cried out, it could have made a fool of himself. Everyone else knew blind Bartimaeus, and he had to cry out, Jesus, I need healing. There's something about our lives that we just need to get a desperation for the presence of God. Zacchaeus, he actually climbed up, because he was too short, climbed up a tree, up the Zacchaeus tree. What is it? Sycamore tree. Why do they make that so difficult? Sycamore tree. Have you ever seen a sycamore tree? They're huge. Big platform in them, almost. And they're able to actually step up into them to see to actually see Jesus come by, and made a difference. As he did something, as he stepped out, as he stepped up, something happened as supernatural where Jesus changed his life. I believe, this is probably saying from my side, that we've been so complacent in our approach to the presence of God that we haven't got vocal. We haven't taken a step out. Because in these days, in some ways, there's an angle where the whole cancel culture where you step out for Jesus and someone knocks your head off. The truth is that let's start to step out for the presence of God. Let's start to walk in the presence of God. Let's start to cry out. Let's start to really seek God and allow God to do something in our lives, in our families' lives, in our children's lives, in our marriages, in our workplaces, in our businesses, in all that we place our hands to do, whatever that is, allowing God to really do something powerful in that situation. If you look at the disciples in the storm, and Jesus was asleep, sorry, not that one. They were in the boat, and the storm broke up, and Jesus walked along, and he came on, and then they seen him. It was crazy for them, and they thought that they were going to drown, but Jesus was actually walking on the very thing that was causing them problems. I'll tell you what, there's something about allowing Jesus to do something powerful when we say, Jesus, we need you. And he comes along and he actually walks on the very thing that was causing those disciples problems. Jesus can walk on those very things that you're going through. He can step on them because he's over everything. We sing those songs, we're worthy of it all. Above all things, you're worthy of it all. I tell you what, let's start to believe that, and let's start to really see that Jesus can step onto all those things that you're that are causing you problems, and he steps on them. That means he's above it all. How cool is that? You're going through employment challenges. He's above it all. You're going through business problems. He's above it all. You go through marital, he's above it all. There's something about allowing God the opportunity to really see something happen. And then out of that story, it was calmed. I tell you what, there's something about the presence of God that we step into that God can really do something in our life. Let's get desperate for the presence of God. Let's allow God to really see I'd really see us step into what God has for us. Let's make room. Let's start to praise him more. Let's start to seek God more and really cry out for the touch of God. Develop a bit of a hunger. Seek him diligently. Seek him. Long for his word. Pray. Hang out with God and allow him to really do something powerful in our life. So what do? Hungry for God? We're hungry for his presence. Just don't rock up to church. It's just one thing, but it's something that we need to get desperate. Really seek out the righteousness. Really seek out that passion and worship with passion. there's plenty of scriptures through the word that we are to dig into. But I tell you what, it means that we just lean into what God has for us. We prioritize time with Jesus. We say, hey, God, you know what? Things are crowding me right now, but I'm going to prioritize something. Interesting how you may have a filthy house. And you go, I'm going to clean this on a Saturday. And someone rocks up and says, hey, let's go to the movies. And you go, sweet, let's go. Let's go to the movies. And go to the movie. Because all of a sudden, what was a priority is not necessarily now a priority. It's looking for what's coming up. And I tell you what, so much that happens these days is that we can so easily adjust our priorities on a whim. But let's lock in our priority and prioritize our time with Jesus. Mark 1:35 and says, rising very early in the morning while it was still dark, is that they seek God. I've been going to a prayer meeting on a Tuesday mornings with some of the other guys from Holbrook and Howlong, and just 6 o'clock in the morning. And I tell you what, it's tough. I seen Dave and Kaylee there. That was awesome. I didn't even see them until I hung up because my eyes were half shut. And I think it's them. But getting up early in the morning and seeking God and just seeking God for me, seeking God for all that He can do, which means making opportunity for what God can do. Prioritize our time. It's to meditate on the Word, engage in worship and seeing what God can really do in our life. Let's stand. Hannah, can you go for more? This morning, I really felt a real reason to really seek out God. Get hungry for what God has for us. And I'll tell you what, this morning, I reckon it'd be great if we going to sing Worthy of It All. But this morning, we're just going to really lean into what God has for us. Lean into the presence of God. Get desperate for what God can do in our lives. Last week, Pastor Lynn was sharing about getting hot for Jesus. And I'll tell you what, there's something about just leaning into, just getting hot with what God can do. This morning, we're just going to worship for a little bit. Let's just lean into what God has for us this morning. Let's just lean into what He has for us this morning. Let's just put aside those things that are just a challenge right now. Let's push aside some of those things that are just pressing us. Let's just put aside some things that are just, giving us a hard time right now. But let's lean in to what God can do. Because as we do that, something happens in here. It gives opportunity for God to actually work in our lives. So come on, we start singing that song, but let's just lift our hands and let's just lean into what God has for us this morning. Come on.
You worthy of it all. You worthy of it all. For from you are all things, and to you are all things. You deserve the glory. You worthy of it all. To you are all things. You deserve the glory. have it all. For from you are all things, and to you are all things. You deserve the glory. You worthy of it all. You worthy of it all. For from you are all things, and to you are all things. You deserve the glory.
You know, He is worthy of all our praises. And this morning, I tell you what, there's some needs in this house that I don't know of, but you know and God knows. Health, relational, financial, you know. And I'll tell you what, there's something about just leaning in. And this morning, I just want to make time, make room for us to lean in. We're going to sing that song just a little bit longer. But if you're going through some stuff right now and you just would love prayer, I just want to make room for that to happen here, that we can pray and we can just step out and we can lean into what God has for us. Opportunity, the hunger of what happens in here, it creates opportunity for God to step in. When we sing you're worthy of it all, it means He's worthy of it all. So we're going to sing that song. And if that's you this morning and you just want prayer this morning, I'd love to pray for you. Love to really just lay hands on you and allow God to really do something powerful in your life. You can step in, you walk out of this place ready for all of what God has for you. So come on, we're going to sing this song. If that's you this morning, I'd love you to come down the front. We're going to pray and just make some time. But everyone else, if you want to just keep leaning into God, lift up your hands. Let's just really sing this song and really bring it from the heart. Let's get hungry for the presence of God in our life. Come on.
All the saints and angels bow before your throne. All the elders cast their crowns before the Lamb of God and sing, you worthy of it all. Worthy of it all. For from you are all things, and to you are all things. You deserve the glory. All the saints. All the saints and angels bow before your throne. All the elders cast their crowns before the Lamb of God and sing, you worthy of it all. You worthy of it all. From you are all things, and to you are all things. You deserve the glory. You worthy of it all. You worthy of it all. For from you are all things, and to you are all things. You deserve the glory.